This is Software Meets Business, a podcast sponsored by Head Channel.
Welcome to another episode of Software Meets Business, and I'm very, very happy to have Tal Brockmann, who is the CEO and founder at Finnovest. Welcome, Tal.
Yeah, happy to be here, Rich.
Good to have you with us. So, I guess the idea of this podcast is to talk about the intersection of software and business. I think it'd be great if you could give us a little bit of background about Finnovest and what it is, and then we could kind of talk about the software piece of that.
So it's funny because I'm not a software guy. I came from the business side. I've been working many years in the biggest investment houses in Israel, and gaining deep understanding about capital markets, trading, investment advisory, portfolio management, everything. And the boring stuff also, compliance. I came really from the business side, and around of the age of 40, I guess this is something that happens to a lot of people. You start wondering, who am I? What am I? Am I doing the right thing? Am I in the right spot? And I was trying to think, how can I do something better within my industry? The truth is that I found out that I cannot do this thinking while I was working. So I had to quit my job just to have a clear mind to think about how to solve problems in my industry. And this is kind of how Finnovest was born. When software and business meet, so I started from the business and from a problem, and then looked for someone to help me turn this idea into software that can change the industry.
So you basically quit your job to then work out what you wanted to do, or you knew before you quit?
No, so I had a vague idea about what I'm going to do, what I want to do, but it was clear enough that you cannot really think about doing big stuff when you're going to work every day. And that was really a bit before my twin babies were born.
No.
And that was like the 90th minute. It's like the last chance. So I did it. I just quit my job and said, okay, I have a vague idea that I really want to explore. And this is exactly what I did. So I quit my job and really started working on developing the idea into a concept, into something that is really viable from a business perspective.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about Finnovest. Did it start out, has it pivoted a little bit since you started, or what was the original idea?
Yeah, so basically we are a platform that deals with a very unique problem that you have in the investment advisory business. And that's the fact that when you go to an investment advisor, many different kind of services that you can get. But the advisory that I mean is like, you have an investment advisor, they ask you a few questions to understand your financial situation, and then together you develop like a risk profile on yourself to understand what's the risk appetite of the client. And once you do that, the advisor is suggesting things, but the ultimate decision on if to buy a security, or to buy a product, or to sell something would be within the client. So the advisor can suggest something, but the client should approve or decline whatever the advisor is suggesting. So when you work in this kind of model and you have advisors all over, you have private advisors, you have advisors that sits in bank branches that you can go and visit, and they might say, after they know you and they know the risk profile, I think you should buy this because this is good and our research department thinks that's great, or something like that. And the problem with this model is the fact that banks have a lot of clients and not so many advisors. If you're an advisor, you probably will have something like 300 or 400 clients, And there's nowhere in the world, even if you're the best advisor in the world, that you can actually be proactive and call your clients whenever you think there's something in the market and you should change something in your portfolio. So this never happens. It never happens not because there's lack of knowledge of the advisor or the bank or the wealth management firm. They have the knowledge. They know what they will want to say to you if they'll meet you, but they just can't do it to a lot of people simultaneously. So the idea was to tackle this problem and figure out how an advisor or a wealth management firm or a brokerage firm or whoever has the client portfolio and has the knowledge of what they think the client should do, how actually they can give an investment recommendation to an end client, but not to one, but to many.
Right.
Today is a one-on-one model. It could be face-to-face, could be over the phone, but it's one-on-one model. So you have to have a lot of advisors to serve a lot of clients, and that's not the case. So what we've built at the end is a platform that really enables professional advisors to generate and disseminate hyper-personal investment recommendations to numerous clients simultaneously, while enabling the clients to receive those personal recommendations directly to their mobile phone. They get a push notification, they enter, and they see exactly what is recommended on their portfolio, what they should they buy, what should they sell, and really actionable quantities, prices, real-time prices. So you just get a recommendation and see exactly, say, oh, in the middle of recording a podcast, I just got a recommendation to sell Apple. So you just get this recommendation, and not only you get a hyper-personal recommendation because it's tailored to my own portfolio and my own risk appetite and everything, not only that I get an actionable recommendation, I can actually act on it with one tap. I mean, I can authorize a recommendation that consists of maybe one order or two orders or maybe three orders. Okay, sell two securities and buy something instead. So I just have to authorize that, and a proprietary trading model of Finnovest will manage the flow of the orders on behalf of the client through the bank to the market. Right. So we took a very complex flow and made it really easy for the advisor to have, a general idea. I want to recommend 10,000 clients to buy Google stock or to buy a mutual fund or whatever. And then with a few simple steps, they can make theoretically an endless number of personal recommendations. So from the same process, each single client will get a different recommendation that is tailored to their own personal portfolio and their holdings and their risk appetite and every other nuances that they have on their personal taste. And so for the advisors, it's really easy. They just take their professional knowledge and make those recommendations, and then each client would get a recommendation directly to the mobile phone, authorize, and it will go automatically to the market. While in the background, we automate all the compliance workflow. So there's no human intervention whatsoever, not about the trading, not about documentation of all the issues you need to do. So it's a really win-win platform. It's great for the advisory firm, whether it's a bank or wealth management firm, doesn't really matter, so that they can really automate all the workflow, give proactive real-time service to the clients. And for the clients, obviously, that's great. They've been never served in such a proactive way, in such a convenient way. So it's a really win-win solution for both sides.
Yeah, it sounds great. But let's talk about how you got there to deliver that, because I'm sure there was a lot of late nights and, stress, maybe. But yeah, Tal, if you can, let's talk about, you had the idea for this and it's grown to become something amazing. But what was the first steps in because you said, you're not a software guy, you're a business guy. So how did you start getting this built? You had no software experience. What happened?
First of all, you need a lot of luck. And I had. My partner is married to my sister. and he's a doctor of mathematics, and he's building automatic trading machines all over the world. So he obviously was the first guy that I went to. I said, well, I have this amazing idea. It has some relations to automatic trading, and that's the part that the user just in one tap presses to authorize the recommendation, so everything runs automatically. And I said, if at the end of the road, if I'll have a startup that's doing something with that, would you be kind enough to just, this automatic trading thing, just to, do this? And he said, oh, if you'll have a startup, yes, no, okay, I'll do it, no problem, something like that. And, and then you started thinking about problems and how it's actually can be done. And the truth is, I was always thinking about the user, about the client, that they can get this recommendation and just approve it and everything will run automatically. And I didn't think about anything else. In real life, this anything else is like 90% of, of the work you have to do. And the truth is that it was like 10 years ago or a bit less. And fintech was booming all over the world, here in Israel as well. And we got into an accelerator, which was Citibank's accelerator, which was very fancy, and we were very happy. And one of the leading banks in Israel came to visit, because this is what they've been doing all day at that day, just going to see what's happening, what's new in the scene of fintech. And someone saw this and say, wow, this is great, and we'll have to have it. And we just moved forward really, really quick, not something that you imagine can go with a bang. And we decided to start working on it. And we had a meeting that was scheduled to something, I don't know, 3 weeks ahead. And they said, okay, let's meet and see how we're going to do this and everything. And I was so happy, and we closed this meeting, and I told my partner that is, well, I don't know if you have something, and I know you're very busy, but we have this meeting, and we'll have to prepare a little bit. And then he asked me, well, okay, you have this. My wife is a designer. So we had a beautiful presentation, which is everything in the beginning. And we have this picture with a man holding his phone and someone pressing on the execute button on the recommendation, and everything was very, very nice. And my partner was asking me, but how the recommendations are being done? Like, I mean, how does it get there? And I said, well, I didn't think about that part. Okay, so I have this hand, someone pressing on the execute button, and that's it. And that was, I will never forget those 3 weeks before the first meeting. Because what happened in these 3 weeks, I wish I can do in all the sprints that we've been doing in the last few years. Because this was like, I don't know, 21 hours a day of work on just inventing a new way for advisors to generate personal recommendations. And that was through UI, a new flow, because there's no flow on how you make a recommendation to a lot of clients these days. You have the one-on-one model, one-on-one systems, everything is there. So it was thinking about that. And once thinking about that, going to check with my partner, no developers now, okay, only my partner, am I imagining this, or this could be done, or what am I talking about? And he said, well, this is software. You can do anything you want. Even if you think that now it's not possible, we will find a way. And I think that this attitude, that me knowing nothing about software, knowing a lot about the business, and have this doctor of mathematics who I admire because he's really a genius, saying, don't worry, we'll figure it out. For me, it was everything. So I just, went all over and did whatever I want. And every time I came back to him, he said, well, yeah, we'll do this. No problem. We can do this. We can do this. And this was the beginning. And, when after these 3 weeks, We had, again, my wife is a designer. She was pregnant. She will never forget this, with twins. Okay. She was like, I don't know, maybe on her 6th month, I guess. Okay. Not very early. And she will never forget those 3 weeks, because she been drawing all the screens and all the flow 3 weeks without sleeping. And then we got to this meeting, that we actually know everything. Okay, this is how you make the recommendation. It's not ready yet, but this is how it's going to be. And we just started working. So for me, knowing that there's someone that really understands technology, assuring me that everything that I will invent is doable, is something that, looking back, is kind of stupid, but it worked, because really we got 2 grants from the chief scientist here in Israel for breakthrough in technological stuff, that is real inventions in technology, about speed, about flows, about everything. There's so many things that we really invented along the way. And so lucky me, he was really smart and did it. I guess that it's not always the case, but for me, it was like, okay, I know him. He can do everything. And if he says it could be done, probably it can. And this is like, in a nutshell, how it started.
Let me just interrupt this podcast for a few seconds. I just wanted to let you know about our wonderful sponsor, Head Channel. Head Channel builds software engineering teams, and they've been building software for clients since 2003. They have a very simple engagement model. Either they develop and run it, or they build it and you run it. They could also help with finding a fractional CTO if you need that support. You can find them at headchannel.co.uk. And now back to the podcast.
That's a great insight. So you basically, having someone who's got a technical background in, or knows software, is able to give you the confidence to move forward, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's you're dreaming.
Yeah. Do you think you wouldn't have been able to move this forward then if you hadn't had someone who had that background to help you?
Yeah, I guess it would be much more difficult. I guess that if it wasn't him, I mean, entrepreneurs, they just move forward. So I get that if it wasn't him, I had to find someone else. But that was kind of easy because he was family.
Yeah. So what happened next then? When did you sort of start to hire developers to actually build this stuff out?
Yeah, so it really well with this bank, and after making our show and going through the flows.
At this point, you hadn't written any code. It was just algorithms. Like, you come up with all the algorithms. You knew how the algorithms were going to find the data or work with the data.
No, there was a general design on what we wanted to do, but in this point, no code, no algorithms, nothing. Just screenshots. It's not even screenshots. It's drawing. And me going and saying, this is how it's going to work, and understanding that this show cannot last a lot of time. Somebody sometime will want to see something. And that was the point that we hired developers.
Okay. And then, so how did you do that? How did you hire developers? Did you just go out and post a message on LinkedIn or something?
So the first developer that came and is my CTO today was someone that worked with my partner before. He just called him. He was in between something, and he just came. And he just, started hands-on, really hands-on, everything. So he was the first, and then he brought someone, really word to mouth. Not that we posted something and we didn't raise money. We had some money of our own. We raised from some really small amounts from angels. So we were a very small team, very small, till today. But then we were, my partner, as I said, he has his algorithmic trading firm. And the deal was that he's not writing code. He will help in everything, but he's not writing code. And that really lasts for about 5 years. That's a lot of time. It's not like this anymore. Today he's writing and he's all over the place. That was the deal. So we had our CTO and then another developer and me, and that's it. And we worked like crazy. So one was UI, just to make all those screens actually do something. And the CTO was the backend. And the truth is that it was the best hire that we could have done because they worked together before. He's a mathematician also. So he could actually understand what my partner was talking about, which was great. And they like started writing the backend and the algorithms. When we got to a point in the backend that you have to actually bring back an answer, we were tackling something, a part of the algorithm, and then like moving ahead with nothing complete, many different parts that we just like, today we say we glued them together, but we made progress. And the truth is that we integrated a very sophisticated platform and heavy platform with heavy integration into a financial institution with no product and no knowledge about where we're going. I don't know, just happened. I mean, we were building the product while we were integrating it into a bank. So today we say our first customer, we just glued it on him.
Wow. Okay. And then, so you had this really small core team who were brilliant. And did the team get any bigger at all at any point?
Yeah, so not very big, not very big. I mean, today we're 6. Okay, and for us it looks that we're so many hands working here, but still we're a very small team. But on the other hand, we are working with 4 financial institutions. We have over 12 billion US dollars on our platform that being advised every day. We trade, I mean, clients authorize recommendations in about $150 million a month. I mean, so it's really big. Hundreds of advisors are using it daily. So it's really big, and it still feels like a miracle how small we are because we did not really raise a lot of money. So it just like the product, everything just happened. So we raised from angels, but nothing significant, and probably that's the reason that we are still kind of small. But raising money has its tolls as well. So today we're profitable, which was something that was really not allowed to say a few years back. But I guess maybe that's my background in financial markets. And didn't feel well about taking so much money and just trying to see if we can make it. I don't know if it was wrong or not, but we're happy.
Yeah. No, it sounds good. So throughout that process, you haven't needed to hire externally any teams.
We did have external teams all along the way. Obviously, 6 people, and this time we were 2. I mean, me and 2 developers, and the one that doesn't write code.
It's a good T-shirt logo.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't write code.
Yeah, I don't exactly. That's the guy. I know everything, and I don't write code. So yeah, obviously we've been using a lot of outsource development, but with very specific things that are not related to the core of the platform.
Okay, that's an interesting insight.
Like things that you actually had to do, and it's not really a lot of impact and not a lot of integration within the core platform. So we, like in a small packets of development, we just gave it outside to a firm that we worked with, which was, not a very good, I mean, that was great for us because we didn't have working hands. So we had to give it outside. But each time it came back with different results. So the first was great. And the second one was not so good, but everything went very well because we knew the people and they knew us. And it was like fun, but...
So when you hired this external team, did you know them? Was it an introduction, or did you just go and find them
So we didn't know them. I heard with someone that just hired them and had a good project with them, with a startup that was closed a little bit a few months later. So I don't know. They were happy, but the startup was closed. So yeah, we did have a referral. So at the beginning that we really had to run, this is what we've been doing, and then we stopped. We understood that it takes time to really explain what you want in the context of our very complex platform. When the result came with too many bugs and too many issues, it became something that you really think about: does this worth our time? Is it making us faster or slower? And we don't have a lot of money. Is this the right thing that we are doing or not? And in some point, we just stopped and we said, okay, we're going to go slower, but something that we can really put our hand on it and say, that's working. This is our responsibility, and this part is working. And I think that was a very good decision at that time. If it didn't go well with our first client, that's it. It's like you have one shot. If it works, that's great. And if not, you will not. We were in a position that we didn't raise money. And if this was failing, for sure you will not raise any, because you hit the holy grail. You have a bank, it's your customer, and they leave you because you're not capable. So so it's not possible that you will raise money. So it was really, really one or zero chance. And so eventually it was slower. And then we also understood that, this, as slow as you think that you go as a startup, when you work with a bank, it's, you have all the time in the world. They are so slow. They are so slow. And when you're integrating, it's always two sides working. And they are so slow. So we suddenly understood that we can manage this rhythm in doing huge progress in the time that they are making their own pace, and okay, making another, and we'll be ready when they are ready, and continuing developing the product while integrating slowly the parts that they are ready. So we understood that it was more important for us to focus on building the product, the core product, and make believe that we're in the same time and we're just working on the integration like they are. And and at the end, we were ready. The product was ready, the integration both sides was ready, and it actually worked. It was like a miracle. I remember this exactly, the first day that we actually authorized a recommendation. We produced a recommendation in live to a customer, which was me, because I'm a client of this bank by coincidence. So I got the recommendation and I opened it and I saw exactly what is recommended and I pressed the button, and the orders actually went to the market, and it came back and with a push notification say, hey, all the orders were successfully executed. And it was like, everybody was like almost crying at this point, because it was really, really unbelievable that we've done it.
Sounds like an amazing moment.
Yeah,
I don't suppose you recorded it.
we did. I mean, we did. I have it on film. I mean, it was
That's good.
event. I mean, I have a few recordings, okay? Because we waited for the push and it didn't came. And we wanted, so we have a few recordings, but the last one, it actually worked. So we have also one from that it actually worked, and we actually authorized the recommendation. So yes, we understood that this is the moment that actually happened.
It must feel like landing a rover on another planet, and receiving the signal back.
Yeah, exactly.
So obviously you used another team for a little bit of that, but then you realised that actually keeping the core product with your own developers was a really, really good idea, and then just using external teams for things that you could specify in depth, so they knew what they had to do, and there was less ambiguity. And then did you find that having less ambiguity would mean that you would have a better result if you were using external team?
again, a progress in what we do. At the beginning, when we worked with banks, obviously banks have their own mobile apps, and they are very keen about it, how it looks and everything. So how the platform works, we just expose an API, and they just draw the screens and how it would look and everything. We really wanted to kind of pivot what we do from giving our platform to banks in brokerage firms. Because what happened in the last few years in the retail investors arena is just mind blowing. And we suddenly felt that what we thought that is something that is more for traditional advisors that can interact and recommend clients on their portfolio probably fits much better to the new and huge wave of retail investors that are much more active. They trade a lot. They trade single stocks, something that traditional investors and traditional advisors are less recommending on. And we suddenly thought that if we can pivot a little bit our platform, doing the same, but giving the platform to brokerage firms and wealth management firms, and then giving them the ability to approach retail investors that are looking for someone to help them. This is what happens. They look in media, in social media, and many places that they shouldn't look for for recommendations. And the truth is that there's no way in the world that professional advisors can actually advise them because there's no technology for that. And we thought that our platform is on the sweet spot on giving this platform to brokerage firms and professional advisors to approach retail investors. And then looking at, again, here in Israel about the leading brokerage firms, and it's sad to say that in 2024, most of them don't have a mobile app. They use mobile apps, external mobile apps by external developers, and someone else is holding that. It's unbelievable. Imagine Robinhood or I don't know, E-Trade or whatever interactive brokers that don't have an app. Okay, so this is, they're not that big, obviously, but they're big enough here in Israel to have their own mobile app, but they don't. So we thought that if we want to move to this market, we'll have to have something that will be easy for them to digest. Because if we'll come to them and say, well, we have this perfect platform, just build an app, they will say no, because they're slow and heavy and everything. Again, they are not banks, but still financial institutions and heavy and slow. So we thought it will never work. No one will actually start this project of having a mobile app on all the investment house and the brokerage firm just to have our service. So we thought that if we will come with an SDK that represents the UI where the user will see the recommendations and they can authorize and see all the flow that we have the API already, obviously. But we thought that if we will come with this SDK and just say, well, you have a mobile app that they can see, basic stuff, just plug it in. So we thought that if we will come with this, that can actually work. And we really wanted to do this. And again, we're very small, but now with much more experience than we were in the beginning. So we said, okay, we're not going to hire now mobile developers. We don't have the budget for that. But definitely we want to go to some experts that actually know about mobile development, that actually know about user experience, which is, I think, almost more important than development itself, is the actual user experience and how easy to use your product. It's very important. And this is also one of the stuff that moved us to this, is the fact that when you expose an API to someone that takes his vision on how your product should look, it doesn't matter what they'll do, probably it will not be as your vision. So we really wanted to move closer to the end user, and then again, without a responsibility. because we are small. So we didn't want anything to do with the authentication and cyber and personal data and everything that comes with a mobile application. So the idea obviously was this SDK. Okay, the big financial institution, they will take care about the data and the authentication and everything, and we'll just come and plug our SDK. And that was where I understood that the firms that we were working at the beginning is not the firm that I need. I mean, we need something else.
Yeah.
Because it was like development. Okay, what you need, it's like very fast moving. Okay, what you need, this is the design, let's go. And everything was very quick, and they made another project and another project. And I said, no, this is not the type of company that we need. We need really to go to experts. And then, again, everything is tied with family in my case. And again, with my wife, which is an amazing creative director in one of the best startups here in Israel. She said, well, I worked with a very good Polish firm about designs and user experience. And she said, I think they also have development. We did not use the development, but I think they do. And I said, that's a good beginning for me. I want an expert on UX, okay? Because if you're following what I'm describing, so imagine if you're an investor and you get a push notification and you can just see what is recommended and press one button to authorize and you continue the discussion. This is amazing. I mean, and this is the story. But you can always ruin it, putting the wrong things in the wrong places, not using the screen correctly. And I really wanted, when we do it, to be perfect. So the user experience was the first thing, and the design, I mean, it goes together, obviously. It was really, really important for me. So I said, hook me up with them. And I'll see if they have the development. And if not, if you're saying the design is good, I'll go with the design and find someone else to do the development. And sure enough, it's a huge firm that we met. So obviously they're doing the development as well. But what I found was very, very different from my first experience. It was obviously a big company that made projects and everything, but the feeling was very, very different. The feeling was very professional. I was really, really surprised almost about everything. And I guess this is something that I learned along the way. I mean, they have experts in different fields, and you're working with a big company. So, we encountered something that I wasn't sure about. And they said, well, we have an expert that also gives legal advice on compliance on MiFID. MiFID is something that's really related to our field. And I said, how are you connected to legal advice to MiFID? They said, sure, we have experts in that. I said, yeah, bring it on. Yeah, that would be great. So I met a legal expert that gave us some, answers on specific compliance issue that I wanted to understand if we need to show it or not. And I mean, because obviously I was driving for the best customer experience, don't show anything. But obviously in real life, you have to show some things. So, I mean, having some experts that are not related to actual development and not related to customer experience. It was, for me, it was very, very surprising. And obviously, meeting experts from different fields, from the designer, that was great. Really a good approach to customer experience, so the user experience, and not only from the design. I mean, also, thinking about the flow itself. So for me, breaking this into different parts and looking for each single part as a profession was great. And at the end, you actually have to do it also, which is okay. You have to develop it, but it's like exactly like the design, and it's working. So this part for me was really different from the beginning. It was a very good decision for us. Obviously, again, I don't know. It's when I'm telling it this out loud, it sounds like it's always like this. So probably say it's always like this. But when we were sitting with this brokerage, the second largest brokerage in Israel, they said there was always a lot of people. I mean, we're a startup and coming on my own, maybe with someone else, and there's always 20 people in the room. So there's a lot of people. And then this one guy said, well, that's amazing, but we cannot develop this, those screens and everything. And it was just starting the process with the outdoors. I mean, it was like 2 or 3 meetings. I mean, we just, talking in general what we want. And I was saying, no, but we have an SDK. You can just plug it in and that's fine. And he said, oh, if you have an SDK, that's fine. And, having in the back of my mind that this process is slow, they are a slow financial institution. By the time that we get to a contract, it will be done. So for that second that I was happy enough to have a firm that I felt good with, and an idea that I thought from a business perspective that would fit for this kind of organization, we had this exact moment that someone is trying to fail your project in a financial institution or a big institution. And there's always someone that will have the reason why not to do this. And he was the guy and said, we cannot do this. And then I just said, oh, we'll just plug the SDK. And the CTO said, oh, and it's not a problem. Yeah, okay. And that's it. I mean, and if I wasn't in the room, it could be different. And if I didn't have this answer, that could kill the project. And in that second, I had enough confidence to say that because we started the project and I love the people that I met. And eventually, obviously, it was ready before the project is done. So the project basically is now, we're integrating by January, we should go live. And very, very different experience and much better one.
Yeah, no, it's excellent. And so what does the future hold for Finnovest?
I think the future could look great. As we spoke about the retail investors, I think this phenomena is just, it doesn't stop. And this huge wave of new investors from 2020, from COVID, so just entering the market and really looking for knowledge. They're looking on what to invest in, what is good and what is not. And, we had, since 2020, we had 2 years of amazing market. Everything you bought just went up. And then in 2022, when the rates all over the world start moving up, everything went down. And then you're asking yourself, okay, what will happen to this market? Okay, these new people that just invested their money, they are used to just making money like it's a game, because if you invest in Tesla, it will go up in 30% in 1 week, because this is how it is in capital markets. And then suddenly markets move down, and I come from the financial industry. I've been working many, many years. I know this market, and it was clear enough that it will have some effect. And I was wondering if those investors will back and say, okay, this is not a game. It's not for me. I don't want to lose money. Where's the nearest deposit? I want to give my money back to the bank. No capital markets anymore. And the opposite happened. And you see that this market matured, and they not only invest in single stocks, buying Tesla, selling Tesla all day. They're looking for more products for ETFs, mutual funds. Now that the interest rate is up, looking for some bond ETFs, which is very, very not volatile, and you can make nice yield with not a lot of risk. So I see this market looking for some professionals to help them. And I think they're looking at the wrong places, because there's no professional that actually can give them investment recommendations that actually falls under the regulatory term investment advisory. And this is exactly what we do. So I think that with a bit of luck and the right partner outside of Israel, we definitely can come to the right place where retail investors will actually get professional investment recommendations from time to time on their portfolio, making them able to make smarter decisions and still buy Tesla and sell Tesla if they want, that's fine. But with someone looking at the overall picture and saying, well, we said you don't want a lot of risk. You have, we said you have 30% of stocks in your portfolio. Now you have 37. It's a bit too much. Maybe we'll sell a little bit and buy something else. So in this environment, I really think that we're doing the right thing. And the truth is that we got some appetite. And now we're thinking about, okay, why do we have an SDK? Okay, we're big enough. Maybe we'll have our own mobile app. Okay. And some people just will download the Finnovest app, and obviously you can get recommendations from different professionals. So maybe that, definitely connecting between professional advisors to retail investors. This is where we're going, and probably looking for the right partner to do it without outside of Israel. Obviously, that would have to be someone that knows the market, understand it, and obviously some resources to do it internationally. Because again, we didn't raise a lot of money. We're profitable. We're happy, but to go globally, that's the problem in Israel. It's so small that even if you succeed, it's still small. So you have to go globally. So as I see it, the future is holding good things for us. The industry is good. The product's good. Hopefully, I'm not hallucinating again.
I don't think you are. I really appreciate, you talking to us today. Thank you very much, Tal.
Yeah, thank you very much for talking with me.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Software Meets Business, the podcast sponsored by Head Channel. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating and review on your preferred platform.